just go ahead and give us a 3-minute why can't Jefferson speech?
Sure thing. My name is Ken Jefferson. I am running for the office of sheriff. I'm a lifelong resident here of Duval County, born and raised right here. Attended the public schools here in Jacksonville. Graduated from Ribault High School in 1975. Attended classes at what was then called Florida Junior College. I did classes at Liberty University. I hold a master's degree that I earned from St. Thomas Christian College in theology. I'm a 24-year veteran with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Recently retired October of last year. I retired for the purpose of seeking office, running for sheriff. During my tenure with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, my credentials pretty much speaks for itself. I didn't bring any literature to pass out. I do have some in my pocket if you all are interested in it. It outlines all of that. My career with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. But in a nutshell, I served in the patrol division. I served as an academy staff instructor, administrative detective, burglary detective, sex crime detective, police recruiter, field training officer, federal program coordinator, as well as the chief spokesman for the department during my 24 years there with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office.
Trying to look. Oh, did you find them? There they are.
We have different office, but we can take off from those.
Okay. Well, there's not much we can ask you because you're a constitutional officer and you kind of there's been some debate about their role in setting the budget. But one of the questions we're going to try to ask everybody the same question. Well, we are going to ask everybody the same question. What new efficiencies can you achieve in this office beyond what your opponents could accomplish? So, your familiarity with the Sheriff's Department, and I recognize you were on Cable 29 a few times, so maybe you can identify the low-hanging fruit, where we're wasting money, where we can improve. Can you elaborate on that?
I was on Cable Channel 29 for 5 years, so yeah. I'm glad you caught it one time. During my spokesman period of time. There is what I see quite a bit of waste that can be addressed. One, as your sheriff, as your newly elected sheriff, I will not receive 2 salaries. I will not receive a pension and a salary. I will be fiscally conservative. I will suspend my pension the entire time that I hold office, that I'm in office. I will suspend my pension and just receive the salary that's due me at that particular time for being the sheriff. I see that within the agency is management heavy. I will reduce that management. I will change the whole structure, or at least a portion of the structure, to take some of that those management salaries out of there, because I don't see the need for those additional managers that are there. And I'm just not dealing with specifics. I'm just telling you what I see there. In the investigative division or unit, I see a lot of fat there. I've served in that unit. I know what comes in, I know what goes out, and I think there's an overload in certain units of detectives that can serve us better on the streets, helping bridge the gap between the community and the sheriff's office, helping us in this war against crime. Since we were labeled for the past 11 years the murder capital of Florida, we need those boots on the street. And I see where there's a lot of detectives that are in certain units that didn't have to be there.
I have a question, if I may. I get tongue-tangled on recidivism, the bringing people back into the community through the processing center they've established, and the Sheriff's Department hasn't been very clear, to me anyway, of what method they're using to monitor that organization. That's being handled by the city, but how do you perceive that? How do you see the paint's not dry on it yet. It's not really completely established, but how do you see that method? What do you see that can happen for the recidivism, returning to the crime cycle?
recidivism.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. That's an issue. It's an ongoing issue. You want to try at all costs to stop the revolving door of criminals getting released. And I'm not really sure I understand your question, so I'll just answer the way I think you're asking it. There are programs and there are organizations that are partnered with the city, also with the sheriff's office, to reduce the recidivism rate that's coming in here. How effective is it right now? I don't have the numbers. I don't know how effective it is. I do know that it's a good program because there are programs where, as a matter of fact, I'm meeting with the executive director today, coincidentally, of a program who take recently released felons out of state prison and help them with housing, help them get back to work. They reached out to me to try to partner with me to let me know their success stories, the things that they're doing. I'm totally in favor of these programs because we've got to have something to place. We got to have somewhere to place them. We've got to have some employers that will employ them so that they can stay out of the jails and prisons.
Just a follow-up. Several people I've spoken to, those kind of programs, it is a fortunate one that a program here is a partnership type program. There's private and even some faith ministry type programs that are involved. And how do you see in dealing with that ratio? Is that something that could principally be supported on an 80-20 or 60-40 as far as lesser taxpayer? How do you see that taxpayer ratio in that?
You know, recidivism, murders, homicides, all of your violent crime and things that get these people in prison and then out back into society. I think that once we get a buy-in from the community at large, business leaders, clergy, as you mentioned, faith-based, educators, if we can get a buy-in from all these people and fund it through that way without having to go to additional expenses, I think that it can be a very successful program. And what I mean by that is, you can't depend on one entity to try to fund these things forever. It won't work.
Too many hurdles.
Yes, sir. It won't work. It won't work.
Okay, we got at least 3 questions we want to be sure we ask everybody. So one of them is, should the motor pool be privatized? I know that you guys are right now tied to using the place over on Superior Street, and there's been some discussion about that. What are your feelings on that? The position on that?
I'm actually glad you asked that question because there have been times where I've had a simple, when I was working there, a simple battery exchanged. My battery wasn't working properly in my police car. The work was efficient, the battery was new, it worked well, but the cost was astronomical. The cost was totally astronomical. It just didn't make any sense. It's like buying a boat for $30 that you pay 13 cents for in a parts store. I think that consideration should be given to privatizing the motor pool if it's going to save us money. If it's not going to save us money, then we need to look at other ways that we can help reduce the cost there, either by well, several ways you can do it. But I think that if privatizing it, taking the city out of it, will reduce the expense on the taxpayers, I'm for that.
Okay. The second question we're going to ask everyone is, what is your solution to the pension problem? What are your views on that? As a sheriff, I don't know there's much you can do about it, but what do you see the future going forward? What's about?
Well, as the sheriff, of course, I can only render a strong opinion as to what I think, the direction I think it should go. With that being said, I disagreed with the recent vote of my former colleagues who voted against a 2.5% pay cut. I disagree with that. I think they should have taken that deal simply because of the fact that with the economic climate being what it is right now, everybody's having to tighten their belts. There are people that don't have jobs. There are officers in Camden, New Jersey that don't have a job because they were laid off because of the economy and things. And we would certainly hate to see anything remotely resembling that coming to Jacksonville or even the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office to jeopardize public safety. I think they should come back to the table. I think they should be rational. I think they should be reasonable, and I think they should come to some sort of agreement, simply because, as I told a couple of my former colleagues, now you've got it going before a magistrate, and magistrate's recommendation is non-binding. If you don't like what the magistrate says, you disagree with it, you're still at impasse. Now it goes to the city council, and the city council has the authority to say, you know what, 2% is not enough. We're going to cut you by 5%. Or 6, or whatever percentage above the 2%. So I think that to really get pension reform, take the 2.5% pay cut while it's still viable right now. That's for 2 years, as it stands right now. That'll give both sides an opportunity within that 2-year period, we hope, to come up with a viable solution, working with the mayor, working with the fire and the pension fund board, and come up with a viable solution, and let's just stop all of this crazy talk.
Okay.